But the last announcement that we got was a big one, and I mean a massive one. Yes, I am talking about the fact that the Fantastic Four are getting a movie. Woof woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus, aka the Mad Dog, and we're back with another video. I already know that I'm late to this party and you've probably watched countless other reaction videos to it already, but there's been a recent announcement for a bulk load of MCU TV shows and movies that are coming out. We had some trailers, we had some casting announcements, we had some release dates, but more than anything, we just had some new reveals. I'm not expecting this to be news to anybody that's watching this video, but I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to give my reaction to all the announcements that came out. I believe I've got a full list of everything that came out, but as you can tell from the timing of this video, I'm not really professional when it comes to this kind of thing. But the first thing that we got was the second trailer for Wandavision, and if I'm being honest, I thought that this was going to be the show that I could easily miss and not really feel too bothered about it. Obviously now I've got the channel so I can't really miss it, and if you want to see me review of it, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. But this trailer actually changed my perception of this show, and it's something now that I'm really intrigued in. Obviously before this we'd seen that it had this pseudo 50s sitcom kind of setting to it, and that didn't really appeal to me. It really reminded me of the third season of My Name is Earl, when you could tell that they had the writer's strike on and they just didn't know what to do. And obviously we all had our theories, we thought something else might be going on behind the scenes, and obviously this wasn't all that was to be seen, but now we actually got a glimpse of that. This made you ask a lot more questions about what exactly was going on, because originally we thought it might be the case that Wanda was in control of this setting. Like, no, I watched this trailer and I thought this was an episode of Black Mirror, and I really like that they're going in that more psychological route. So this has definitely raised my excitement for the Wandavision TV show, and it's pretty much just a month until it comes out. After that we had an announcement that America Chavez is going to be joining Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I've really got no strong feelings on this character. I know some people don't like her and find her a bit preachy, and I know other people absolutely love her. For me, I'm going to watch Doctor Strange either way. I feel like this is going to be integral to what phase 4 of the MCU becomes. I'm not familiar at all with the actress that they've cast, so I can't really comment on if that's a good casting decision or not, but I think it's interesting that they are including this character. Obviously she can travel between dimensions and stuff like that, so I'm wondering how that's going to factor in, because that seems to be the thing that Doctor Strange was going to do anyway. I'd have liked to have maybe seen a bit more concept art or maybe some behind the scenes footage of the filming of this. Unfortunately we didn't get that. If you're a Doctor Strange fan, there wasn't too much here for you. But the one thing that we did get about Doctor Strange is that it's going to connect to the Spider-Man 3 film. And as well, even though it wasn't announced at this event last week, there has been so much Spider-Man 3 news already that I'm worried that I'm going to turn on the computer one day and it's just going to say that I'm casted in Spider-Man 3. So we've seen that Tobey Maguire is going for costume fittings, Andrew Garfield's apparently signed, Kirsten Dunst is apparently signed, you've also got Alfred Molina coming back as Dr. Octopus, and you've got Jamie Foxx as Electro. This film sounds insane, and I don't know if they're biting off more than they could chew, but at the same time I remember saying that when we were getting to like the original Avengers and Avengers Infinity War. So I think Marvel have already proven that they know the formula to make these massive ensemble films work. So I'm not too worried about all those characters coming up. Hopefully they still keep the focus on the Spider-Man that we're following there, you know, the Tom Holland one, because I think that's the crucial point of this film. If all of a sudden you've got it that you're spending so much focus on Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and all these other characters, you're going to lose the core of what people have come to that for. But I do think it's really exciting that Doctor Strange is somehow going to connect to that, and hopefully this is a sign that they're building up the Spider-Man 3 film to basically be a mini event within the MCU phase 4. But still, even though it had no massive involvement in these announcements, I'm most excited for the Spider-Man 3 film. After that we had a trailer for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show. I really thought that this was coming out later than March next year, but I'm glad it's coming around sooner rather than later, because this trailer was probably the most exciting of the ones that we got. Admittedly, I do not like Sebastian Shaw as the Winter Soldier. I'm not saying that he's a bad actor, I just don't feel like that character actually does enough to warrant him being such a prolific figure within the MCU. Which is really weird for me, because I really loved the Winter Soldier when it was Ed Brubaker that was writing him, but for some reason I've never gravitated towards this actor in the role. Whereas the Falcon is a character that I've always liked since he was introduced in the second Captain America movie. So this was a show that I thought was going to be quite 50-50 for me, because I've got one of my favourite characters in the MCU teaming up with one of my least favourite characters, but from this trailer alone, I think that we're onto a good thing here. What I can say for all the trailers that we saw was that when I was watching them, I never felt like any of them were for a TV show, because they all look like they've got a massive budget. They've all still got that MCU style to them, which I think is going to be crucial if you're going to bring people across from the movies into these shows, and this one here was no exception. The bit at the end where Falcon's going through that canyon and he's just flying and he's being chased by the Flag Smashers was just amazing, and I'm just hoping that that's not the best action scene and they've ruined it in the trailer, but it also looks like we're getting Baron Zemo back, which has been rumoured for a while, and I'm wondering how his inclusion is going to be handled. But either way, this trailer really brought back back my excitement for this show and I'm looking forward to it, but I wish this was coming out next month rather than Wandavision. It also got confirmed again, even though there was no confirmation of otherwise, but Black Widow is still going to be coming to theatres and they're aiming for May 2021. I still think it's too little too late for this film anyway. When it was coming out in 2020, it was already too late. So bringing it out a year later and not really having that buzz about it anymore, I'm worried for this film and I'm worried that it isn't really going to get the money that we were hoping for. And I really like Black Widow and I like Scarlett Johansson in that role, and I don't want them to think that that is a reflection of how the film actually handles. Because I'm not really about the female empowerment just to say that you've got female empowerment, but it looked like Black Widow was taking it in a different direction. It didn't look like it was Ocean's 8 or the Ghostbusters from 2016. This just looked like it was going to be a story about Black Widow, which is what I really wanted. But it seems to me that this might be a rash decision by Disney, because obviously Mulan went straight to streaming and they had that premium service for it, but it didn't really do too well. It didn't get the same numbers it would have done if it had gone to cinema. And I think they're using that logic to not bring Black Widow out to Disney Plus and waiting for cinemas to come back in full swing. Admittedly, we don't even know if in May people are still going to feel comfortable enough to go to cinemas, so I don't really know if waiting is going to be the best option for them. And additionally, I think one of the reasons why Mulan didn't do that well when it went to streaming is A, because it was the first of its kind to do that, so it was a bit of a shock to the system, and secondly, I also feel that it's because it's Mulan. We've already seen that story, there was no real surprises to it, and you've also put it on a platform where the cartoon and superior version of Mulan is already on there. So people aren't going to pay for the same story when they've already got this superior cartoon version included in the subscription. Whereas Black Widow was something new and a little bit different, so I think if they brought it to Disney Plus, it would have done better than Mulan, and I don't really know if bringing it to cinemas is going to bring in that revenue that they're expecting. Then we had our first proper look at the Loki TV show, and it's clear here that the only reason that this was able to happen was because of the fact that they went back in time in Endgame. It wasn't the case that he faked his own death in Infinity War or anything like that, which is a theory that was going around for a while. But if I'm being honest, my Loki tank is empty, and this trailer didn't really top that up. I'm not saying that it's a bad trailer or that the show itself looked bad, it still had that really high level of quality, and I think this was actually better than Wandavision. But for me, the MCU version of Loki had very little to offer, and I think he got lucky in that he had a particularly big fan base, but it was mainly just full of girls that fancied Tom Hiddleston. But I wasn't really impressed with his plan during the first Thor movie, I wasn't really impressed with his plan in Avengers, but then due to the popularity of the character and the fact that Tom Hiddleston is quite a good actor, they tried to just make him a second Thor. At least what I can say for this show is that it looks like they're going back to the roots of Loki and they're making him the god of mischief. He's going on all these schemes, it looks like he's trying to hijack a plane, but still the tentative release date at the minute for this is May 2022, which I think is quite far away, and I'm hoping that we see a little bit more between then and now. I'm assuming that we will, but I think that they've shown this way too early if I'm being honest, especially when you've got all the other things in the mix. This is a trailer that I didn't really hear anybody talking about, and I don't know if that's because there was so much information that was coming out during these last couple of days, or if it's the fact that it's coming out that far away that people don't think it's worth talking about just yet. Or maybe, and this is the most unlikely of the three options, it might be the case that other people are getting a bit bored of Loki as well. The last of the main trailers that we got is for What If, and I was hoping that because of this coming out that we get some kind of omnibus of these stories, but it doesn't seem to be the case so far. Marvel, you're missing a trick there if you don't bring this omnibus out now. I can't really see if a release date was announced for this, but if I'm wrong, I'm sure that someone's going to feel the need to correct me in the comments. But this is something that intrigued me, but I don't really think it's anything that's going to be taken too seriously. Which is similar to the What If comics. I think this is just going to be nice supplementary viewing that's going to help enhance our knowledge of these characters and also give us kind of Elseworld tales. The one I was excited for most out of all these glimpses that we got was Peggy Carter becoming Captain Britain. That's mainly just because it's finally representing my country, but also I feel like that might just be interesting as a little bit of a one-off. But honestly, some of the clips just confused me. I was like, why is one of them what if Doctor Strange just fought slightly different Doctor Strange? Like, I'm sure Doctor Strange will win, that's normally what happens. It was also interesting to see that T'Challa's going to get a chance to become Star-Lord, because that makes you ask questions about will the Guardians of the Galaxy still be assembled? And if yes, how different might it be? The zombie Captain America looked cool as well. I'm not sure if they're going to go entirely with a zombie Marvel universe, or it might be the case of what if Steve fell off the train instead of Bucky. But I'm hoping that they've left some in the bag and it isn't just going to be these 4 stories that we get, because I really want to be surprised by this series. We also got the full announcement of the Shang-Chi cast, but we didn't get to see anything of this movie. That's a shame, because when this was announced, I think it was the one that had the most question marks around it. It seems like they're going with a primarily Asian cast, which is pretty cool, and hopefully people will be able to resonate with that. Like, I feel like whenever you talk about stuff like this, you've got people that are saying it's the absolute greatest thing ever, or you get people saying that this is the absolute worst thing ever. I'm pretty much in the middle ground. I don't need to be represented in every film. I'll judge the film on if it's good or not. That's normally what's worked out best for me before. But I do wish they would have just shown us some clip that shows us how good the fighting is going to be in this, because I've got really high expectations for it. I'm pretty much hoping that this has fights to the level of what I was hoping would be in Iron Fist. We then also got a sizzle reel for the Ms. Marvel show that's coming out. It mainly looked like it was just trying to establish who Kamala Khan is. You didn't really see too much of the show, but if I'm being honest, I feel like this is aimed at a younger audience. And you know what, I'm fine with that. Not everything on the planet is meant for me to enjoy, some things are for other people, and this seems to be one of them. I'm still going to give it a try. It seems like it has got quite a lot of heart that will hopefully carry the show through, but I do think they were overselling how big of a character Kamala Khan is. I don't think she's on the same level as someone like Miles Morales, but it was also confirmed that Kamala Khan's going to be in Captain Marvel 2. Admittedly, I didn't think Captain Marvel was that good of a film. I thought it was about like a 5 out of 10. I think it was very overhyped by feminists, but I also think it was dragged down by people that just wanted it to be bad because it was Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel 2 isn't something that I'm going to actively avoid, nor something that I'm really looking forward to, and it does also sound like it's pushed back to November 2022. But the announcement of Kamala Khan in this film doesn't really do too much for me excitement either, because like I said, that's a character that hasn't really appealed to me before, but the fact that she might be included in that might actually help Captain Marvel out a bit, might open some new doors for storytelling, and obviously I'm still going to watch it because of the fact that I've got this channel. It was also announced that Kate Bishop's going to be in the Hawkeye show, but I thought that was a fact by now. But we also saw some set photos from Hawkeye, and it was confirmed that Pizza Dog's going to be in it, which is more of an announcement than Kate Bishop being in this. But we didn't really see too much more than this, and if it is going to lean into Matt Fraction's Hawkeye run, I get why they would be doing that, but for me, I thought that was one of the most overrated runs I've ever read. So I really hope they change it up, and they don't just drag it out for issues on end, and they don't think that everything that they say is funny, because it's annoying enough when I do that. We also got She-Hulk news that Mark Ruffalo is going to return as Bruce Banner, and that Tim Roth's also going to return as the Abomination. That's quite interesting, because obviously Tim Roth hasn't reprised this role since his 2008 movie The Incredible Hulk, and when we last saw the Hulk, he was pretty much in that the Professor mode, because he's clearly got Bruce Banner's consciousness within the Hulk body. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I wish we could have just seen a little bit of what She-Hulk's going to look like. Is it entirely going to be CGI, which I'm assuming it will be, and if so, how does that play out? But from being honest, I feel like Mark Ruffalo is just so cringy in real life that I don't really like him when he's this character. Especially when I saw him in Infinity War, he was just actively pissing me off throughout that film. So I'm hoping that they actually tried to do Bruce Banner rather than Mark Ruffalo pretending to be a comedic character, which he really isn't. That's just me, I know I'm in the minority with that one as well. Possibly the most surprising announcement from all this was the Secret Invasion TV show. Samuel Jackson's going to reprise his role as Nick Fury, and I'm wondering how exactly this one's going to pan out. For a while I thought Secret Invasion was going to be the next big event that the next couple of phases of the MCU were working towards. I felt like they didn't want to go on another earth-shattering event kind of level thing, but this would have made it a bit more closer to home and a little bit more personal. So I'm wondering how this Secret Invasion show is going to work. Is it going to be the case that they're going to have Skrulls going undercover as certain superheroes to do missions whilst those other heroes are doing other things? Maybe it's the fact that they get Skrulls to pose as heroes that have either died or maybe are out of action. So what if they had a Skrull that looks exactly like Steve Rogers going around as Captain America? So I think there's a lot of potential that could happen here, but I am surprised that this is happening so soon and it's going to be a TV show. They're also going to be doing an Ironheart show, and they've announced who's going to be playing Riri Williams. I'll be honest with you, I'm not really too bothered about this one. I thought if they were going to do Ironheart, it was going to be Morgan Stark, so that he's actually got a connection to Tony. But obviously now that Tony Stark's not in the picture, I think it's going to be very easy for them to usher this character in. But this is one of those announcements that strikes me as it's going to be for a younger audience, which is okay. I don't really think it's going to be too serious or it's going to get into too many dark themes. But for a character that only debuted a few years ago, I'm wondering which stories they're really going to pull from to actually tell a convincing story with it. Because that's always been my issue with Miles Morales. People say that Miles Morales is a better Spider-Man than Peter Parker, but how many stories can you point to about Miles Morales that are seminal for that character, that define him as a superhero? So even though I feel like in the timeline it might be a good point to introduce Riri Williams in terms of continuity, I think for the lifespan of that character it might be difficult to tell a story that really defines her as Ironheart. Possibly the second most surprising announcement was Armor Wars. This sounds like it might be really fun and I'm interested in it. Don Cheadle seems to be coming back as War Machine, and admittedly though, I feel like when he was introduced in Iron Man 2 he was quite old. But throughout the last couple of films that he's featured in, he's just been aging throughout them, and I know that that's how time works. I'm very well aware of the fact that I look about 35 even though I'm only 27, but I'm wondering if Don Cheadle will still be able to be a convincing superhero in this, especially as it seems like he's a lead member of cast. He's not the sidekick anymore, and that's great because I feel like now he's got a chance to really bring it into his own and tell his own stories through that character. But still, I'm cautiously excited for this one. Another weird one was the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. I think the Guardians of the Galaxy are the perfect choice to do any kind of Christmas related TV show, or if it's going to be a movie. I'm not really too sure about that. No, it doesn't say if it's going to be a TV show or a movie. It says that James Gunn really liked the Star Wars Holiday Special, but I've heard that that's shit. Still, I think it is good that the MCU is finding different ways to spruce things up. Obviously throughout this I've said that it seems like there's some shows that are aimed at younger audiences and some stuff that isn't necessarily for me, which I think is great, and adding some kind of holiday special into it is just going to broaden that horizon of the shows that we've got on offer. I've heard some people say that they feel like this is going to be the death of the MCU. I don't think that's possible, because as soon as it's January January, you're probably going to forget that it exists. Still, good on them for pushing the boat out. I'd just like to see what exactly this is going to be, but it seems like I'm going to have to wait till 2022, so maybe they should have announced this a little bit later. Speaking of which, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is meant to be coming out in 2023, which feels ages away. Obviously, I know this pandemic has pretty much messed over any kind of production that's been going on, but for me, why are you announcing this so early? Marvel does always seem to do this, and I know it builds up hype for the initial announcement that it comes out, but then it's going to be forgotten about, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh yeah, I forgot that that was coming out. We know that this is coming out now, so when's the first trailer going to be? Is it going to be next week and we're going to have to wait 3 years? But they didn't really say if Thor's going to be incorporated in this, and if it's going to be anything like the Guardians of the Galaxy that was hinted at the end of Endgame. But it is good to see that James Gunn's going to be returning to it, especially after he's still had a chance to do the Suicide Squad. But besides that, and the fact that it's confirmed that it's going to be set 6 years after Volume 2, there wasn't too much news to go off. However, it was announced that there's going to be an Am Groot TV show. It's going to feature Baby Groot, and that is pretty much all we know about it. It isn't confirmed if Vin Diesel's going to be back in this, it isn't confirmed if it's going to be CGI or if it's going to be entirely animated. But still, it would be good to use this as a barometer to see if Baby Groot is something that people still really care about, because it seems like it's gone the way of the Minions. A few years ago it was everywhere, you couldn't get enough of it, everybody seemed to love it, but then it's completely disappeared, and when you try to bring it back, it just comes across as cringy and nobody really still has that love for it. Will Baby Groot be the exact same? I don't know. Christian Bale's also being cast as the God Butcher in Thor Love and Thunder. Christian Bale's a great actor, and he also gave us that great behind the scenes moment with the Terminator Salvation film, which is something that I hope lives on forever, so if you haven't seen it in years, treat yourself and go back and watch it. But he's such a committed actor to whatever role he's in, so I'm really interested to see what exactly he does with the God Butcher, and this also excites me for what they're going to do with that film in general. You can't really do as much of a quirky tone if you're going to do the God Butcher. He was in like the first 9 issues of Jason Aaron's run of Thor, but it still seems like Waititi's going to be directing this, so I'm not really sure what the tone's going to be. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania announced that Kang the Conqueror is going to be the villain. This is cool, I'm really interested in this, and I think they also announced who was cast in it, but I don't believe I've seen him in anything before. But hopefully Kang the Conqueror comes across as really powerful and they can use him as a villain in multiple films. I feel sorry for the Ant-Man films because I feel like they're some of the more creative within the MCU without being too in your face or too out there, but it doesn't really seem like they get the respect. With a title like Quantumania and a villain like Kang the Conqueror, it seems like they're really going to go out there and do whatever they can to make an exciting film, but the question is, will it be enough to bring people back to Ant-Man? That's something I'm not really sure, because even bringing him into Civil War didn't really do too much for the later Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, but I feel like this is a really underrated announcement that's been completely brushed over by other ones that came out. But they couldn't do one of these announcements without giving some kind of Black Panther news. It has been pushed back from May 2022 to July 2022, and it's also been confirmed that they aren't going to recast T'Challa. I think that's a smart move, but now I'm questioning what exactly this film's going to be, because they've confirmed that T'Challa's not going to be recast. They've also confirmed that they're not going to go down the CGI route like they did for Paul Walker in the Fast and Furious 7. And I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but I've also heard that Shuri's not going to be ushered into the Black Panther role just yet. I'm kind of glad for that, because Shuri pisses me off in these films. If you watch Black Panther back now, the memes and the jokes that she was doing have already become outdated, so it's just completely cringe. I also don't feel like she's got enough to step into that role just yet. Like, if they were doing it for Black Panther 3, then maybe I'd think that the character's matured by then, but if you try and make her Black Panther already, I think it's too soon. So realistically, I do not know what they're going to do with this film, because it sounds like they're not going to continue with the T'Challa role, but at the same time, they're going to have to address that some way. It's just such an unfortunate situation that happened with Chadwick Boseman, and we didn't really get to see the full trajectory of what that character was going to be, because it felt like he might have been the next Iron Man for the MCU. It's such a shame that he passed so soon, and if I'm being honest, even though I know that it's all about money, and Black Panther made over $1 billion, I feel like it personally would have been better to just leave this at one film with that character, and we can just enjoy that for his legacy. Because like I said, I don't have a clue what they're going to do with this film, and I'm not really sure if many people are going to like it just on the principle that it's no longer Chadwick Boseman. In the same way that a lot of people don't like Fast and Furious 8 just because of the fact that Paul Walker can't be in it. It's a situation that's completely beyond their control, and I feel like people are going to turn against it regardless. But the last announcement that we got was a big one, and I mean a massive one. Yes, I am talking about the fact that the Fantastic Four are getting a movie. We knew this had to happen at some point, but honestly, I thought they were going to bring the X-Men in first. In hindsight, I think it's smarter to do the Fantastic Four, because obviously that's just one set of characters, whereas with the X-Men, it's like, where exactly do you start? And if that's a question that you're asking in general about the comics, I've got a video right here. But I don't think there was a release date, we got no cast announcements, but it was confirmed that John Watts, who did Spider-Man Homecoming, is going to be directing this. I think that could work really well, especially after the 2015 Fantastic Four film. They need to remember who exactly these characters are. Bring them back to the the light-hearted, goofy, family-friendly kind of fun. That's exactly what we got from Spider-Man Homecoming, and they somehow managed to re-establish that character despite the fact that we'd already seen him in multiple films, and I'm just hoping that the same can be done for the Fantastic Four, because if this works, then we can have Galactus, then we can have the Silver Surfer, we can get the Super Skrull, we can get Doctor Doom. There's so much good that can come from the Fantastic Four that I'm really pleased that they announced this, because I think it's easier to integrate the Fantastic Four into the MCU than it would be the X-Men. Because someone pointed this out to me, and since then I've never been able to look at it the same, but it doesn't really make sense that the X-Men belong in the same universe as Marvel characters. But hopefully Fantastic Four really gets the focus in the coming years, and the cast announcements are going to be big. Obviously I don't think they're going to bring anyone back from the 2015 film, especially because of the fact that we've already had Michael B. Jordan in the MCU, and I miss that beautiful man, I'm not gonna lie. But I think there is a lot to be excited about this, but it's funny because nothing that came out of this announcement excited me more than the Batman trailer that came out during DC Fandom. I think we are really coming into a golden age of comic book movies though, and these announcements just solidified that. Along with the fact that it seems like DC's stepping up their release schedule, I think we are going into either maybe the make or break for this genre. Is it going to be too many things, or are they going to be able to diversify and do things differently to the point where it all feels fresh and new? In that regard, I feel like Marvel brought more to the table in things that got us excited for different reasons, so who knows what's going to happen over the coming years. But I want to know, what announcement from this coming slate were you most excited for, and which one were you least excited for? There's such a variety that there has to be at least one for each. But that's a video, and I am sorry that it's a little bit late. I've done it as quickly as I can, but if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't like this video, why did you get this far? Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and click that bell notification, and check out some of my social media links so that you can keep up to date on videos. If you do want to support the channel, it is greatly appreciated. I've got Amazon affiliate links down below. It doesn't increase the price, and I can't see any of your details. It just means that eventually I can buy a new camera. But that's all I've got to say on this topic for now, except for to stay safe, stay reading the best books that you can find, and stay mad all you dogs. Woof woof, see you at the next video.